All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready? Hector may use all of this. All right, here we go. Oh, and I'll remember this time, offline.
Perhaps.
Okay.
It's another Mike and Mike's off-air podcast. Your friend Mike O'Neill from the new My 97.5.
Mike Pesto hanging out with you as well, once again in our new studio with a view to the outside world and no view to the inside world. It's
Right?
so weird being in here because doing the morning show, every once in a while, someone will need to get in. So I hear the...
Yeah, it's the only studio in the building. I mean, we have really nice studios here, I have to say. Big, beautiful windows on every one, except this one. And
this
so,
is, if you could see it at all in any of the shots, I don't think you can, but
No.
we've got like one window.
On you can.
And where I park now, I specifically park where I can see my car right outside the window. No one's asked me yet because since we moved in this building, I've always parked in the same spot.
Yeah.
And now I've moved because if anyone tries to break in, it's going to take me a little while to get out there, but I can see what's going on if I go on my tippy toes and kind of see what's
Calling
happening.
the police all the way on the jog.
I'll just talk about it on the radio. And if there happens to be a police officer driving by Momentum Studios, someone's breaking into my car right now. I'll meet you in the parking lot.
I'll be there in a minute. Oh, my God, I'm sore. We went back to the gym yesterday, and it's been, I'm not kidding, it's been since Sean went in the hospital, since February, and we just stopped because we were in the hospital taking Sean, blah, 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 that it was after, and Sean couldn't go with us, and 101 excuses, and then now it was June, and here we are. We went back yesterday. Wow. I've been doing this for years, Mike, going to the gym, and I just, man, if you stop, you stop.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start all over again.
Whenever I do anything physical, even like the walks that I like to take, if it's a good brisk power walk from our studios here at 700 East Mineral King, I typically like to get to Redwood and back. If it's a full-blown power walk where I break a sweat no matter what it's doing outside, if it's been a while, I'll feel it the next couple of days.
Yeah. If I increase cardio or do something like that, it's like, wow, why can't I feel every joint right now? Ooh, Lord. Anyway, I just thought I'd whine for a moment.
It's one of those things where I tell myself, and maybe you at the same time tell yourself, either I need to do this every day religiously or I need to stop doing it altogether. Because this whole stop and start thing, it's the starting up again. That's what kills you.
But what I've really learned is you got to keep moving. And so I'm voting for keep going. And let's see how I do. What's up?
So we have an interesting situation here in the building. We have two Mikes and one Michael. And that is more, and I meant to look this up, but I know from going over popular baby names when I do that feature on the air like once a year or so, that Michael, when you and I were born in that era, in that decade or so, was always 1, 2, or 3 as far as popularity, as far as names are concerned.
yeah.
Now, I don't think it's in the top 50, honestly. I'll look it up, and maybe I'll bring it up when I talk about this podcast, when we talk about it on the air. But we have 3 that will respond to either Mike or Michael here in the building. So I have a question that's up online at my975fm.com. And Jennifer Grant talked about this last week with the story that she came across. Do you like your first name? And have you ever thought about changing it?
Oh, I do. I like my name. I just don't ever go by Michael. I've been Mike forever. The only time I heard Michael was when I was in trouble. And that's the only, well, I guess I'm married. I still hear it sometimes. But most of the time, it's just Mike. Or here in the building, it's my initials. I get, hey, MJO, what? Oh, okay. And no, I've always liked my name. In fact, you want to hear something a little strange?
Sure.
My legal name is just Michael and my last name.
You have no middle name?
I don't have a
Really?
No, my parents thought, being the good Catholics that they were at the time, he'll take it at confirmation, and there it'll be. And that's what I did. So Michael John is my confirmation name. And
but on the birth certificate, it's just Michael last name.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I've known a couple people without a middle name, and I've never thought to ask why, and that's obviously one good reason.
That's the only one I ever heard, and I've always I assumed it was a common thing that my parents were doing. Yeah, I was it all the way through, all 12 years of grade school. All right, Mom. Thanks for that. That's okay.
I used to not like my name back when it was much more popular. And my joke on the air always was, you go to a mall and yell out the name Michael. This was like 15, 20 years or so ago. And half of everyone in the mall will turn around, including a good number of the girls as well, because they go by Michelle or some derivative. Now it's not as anywhere near as common. So now I'm getting to a point where I'm liking the name again. It's just an oddity that we have, again, 3 here in the building.
Yeah, and I know when you were on KJug, you loved the fact that I was Mike at KJug.com. How come I can't get that? Beat you by 22 years, man.
But it does get some folks in our sales department, Amy, every once in a while, will yell out for Mike, and I'll come running and say, "Oh, not you here!" I'm just so.
and Mike is, and then the Michael in the other building just glad it wasn't him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
so I talked about this morning. By the way, the poll question is up if you want to weigh in at my975fm.com about first names and all. So please do weigh in on that.
Thank you.
I weighed in on this with the little dirt segment that I have every day. Did it at 6:30 and 8:30. Would have been on Tuesday. Katy Perry making the runs right now as far as she's on tour. She was at Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, Australia, performing when someone jumped up on stage. Now, what's interesting with this is security didn't act immediately because he ran up there and kind of put his arm around her and was kind of just enjoying being there.
He got to her.
Yes,
and touched
actually
her?
got to her, arm around her. She spun away. She kept singing. She was singing Hot and Cold at the time. So she kept singing. So I'm guessing security must have thought, all right, well, it's Katy Perry. Maybe this is part of the shtick. I mean, I don't know.
No, I promise you, there are 2 security guys that were supposed to be up front that are looking for work at Stop and Go right now. I promise you. They got all the way to her and touched her.
And not only that, when she spun away and kept singing, he took that moment to start doing the floss. And what I said on the air was, I don't know if there's any truth to it, that as he started doing a dance move that nobody else was dancing, at that point, security caught on and realized, okay, maybe he's not part of the shtick. Let's go get him off stage. And then that's when she realized that security had it under control. And that's when she let the crowd know, okay, this isn't part of the bit.
And I didn't get killed.
Yeah.
Yay!
So
try doing that at a rapper's concert and see what happens.
You put one foot up on the stage.
You'll be under 3 guys so fast.
Yeah. Suge Knight will be there.
Suge Knight.
Take care of you, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
But you and I have both been to, if not hundreds, maybe thousands of concerts. I'm sure you've been to a few more than I have over the years. What is the most unusual thing you've ever seen at a concert? Whether it's someone getting up on stage, power outage, whatever it is, what comes to mind with something like that?
I haven't really seen anything too crazy, but I love the way Luke Bryant came on stage when he was here about 3 or 4, 5, maybe 4 years ago. First of all, that was the loudest concert I've ever been to, and I've seen Kiss.
Okay, I've heard.
Holy Lord, Luke. That was a big flying array. But Luke came on stage, and I'll bet he practiced this 2 or 3 times. He came barreling on stage in one of those 4-wheelers.
Oh, wow. Like a quad.
Boom!
Okay.
It got a little air and
Really?
And then somebody handed him a mic and off he went. That was pretty cool.
That
was pretty cool. It's a big stage, though, at Save Mart Center.
Okay. Yeah, that's an indoor facility, too, obviously. So, wow.
So
that's
I've seen that. And going way back to the 70s, and I'm sure that if you went back, it was probably illegal. Mm-hmm. But I've seen Blue Oyster Cult back when they were Blue freaking Oyster Cult in the 70s into the 80s. They used to shoot lasers into mirror balls.
Okay.
And it went everywhere. And I remember feeling it one time. It didn't burn and I didn't die, but it was like, I felt that. And that's, I'll bet that was not legal, but it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, there'll be some lawsuits now, especially if you pull that off in California.
Yeah, but Those, I mean, things you would never see today. Yeah, let's blast a few mirror balls with optical lasers and see what happens.
As far as a cool thing I've seen that was meant to happen, second show I ever saw, the only time I ever won anything from a radio station, WLS in Chicago. I won tickets to see Huey Lewis and the News in Wisconsin. So I asked my best friend at the time, and we went up to see the show. And they were adamant about not using drum machines because that was when they were first really starting to become popular in concerts. They had a drummer. I mean, everyone in the band can play, and they do play when they are on tour. Maybe they get a little help from studio musicians for an actual album, but on the road, it's the News. You hear them. Well, at one point, they broke it down because they wanted to do something a cappella, but with a drum kit behind them. So they wheeled out this drum machine, which was, I couldn't tell you how high it was, maybe 4 or 5 feet off the ground, 2 or 3 feet wide.
Looks sort of like a keyboard, kind of.
Yeah. And they wheeled it out, and Huey explained what it was. And then they hit play, and then they did some a cappella riffs with the drum machine right there in the middle. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was a glorified click track.
Yeah, basically.
Which is behind everything nowadays. Mm-hmm. Almost anything you hear live anymore has a click track in the monitors of the musicians in the group that need it, and it's almost always there. The drummer generally runs it. But
okay.
Interesting. It's there just to keep them on pace.
So that was obviously meant to happen, like yours was. Another one that, as far as interesting entrances, I never saw Yes in concert, but I had seen Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe, or Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe, when they were touring, all members at one point or another.
Sorta, yes.
Yeah, but they legally couldn't use the name. So these were all guys that had been in Yes. It used a lot of the same graphics. If you're familiar with Yes album covers.
Their logos.
Exactly. And John Anderson, lead singer, they started off the show in a way I've never seen started before. They all did solos. So Rick Wakeman had a guitar, had a keyboard solo. I forget who did what. The guitar solo, drum solo.
Was Howe with them at the time?
Yes.
So Steve,
yeah, Howe.
He's from another planet.
So they all did it, and then it was John Anderson's turn. He started, and this was at Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View. So if you've ever been there, it's seating for the first half closest to the stage, and then there's a canopy, and then there's lawn seating from that point on. Great venue. He started off, I don't know where he came from, but he was between the seated area and the lawn area, and a big spotlight just hit him, and he did the song Soon. And he did that a cappella. From there, walked to the side, walked towards the front, and then finished the song on stage. Great way to get everyone's attention. And okay, so now we have our lead singer, and then they went into all these great songs from Yes.
Do we have time?
Oh yeah.
You just reminded me of another. I saw Michael Bolton, and who's the tremendous
Kenny
saxophone?
G.
Kenny G. So Kenny opened. No, actually, it was Michael first, and then Kenny G at the time.
Okay.
So that depends on where you were in careers. But we were at the Mid-State Fair. That's a pretty good size venue, right? Well, all of a sudden, lights go down. You hear the sax come up. Nothing on stage, Mike. Well, the band was there, but doing nothing. Right? You knew it wasn't live up there yet. And all of a sudden, just like you said, piercing spotlight to the very back. And he came all the way up through the front row.
Oh, wow.
All the way up to the side of the stage, onto the stage and up, and finished the show.
Okay.
That got everybody's attention.
Now, those were all scheduled things.
Yes.
I have seen one thing, and maybe this will trigger another memory for you, that was not scripted. I had a chance to see, when I lived in Las Vegas, REM, one of the last tours they ever went on before they retired. And Michael Stipe, their lead singer, they were going into Night Swimming, which is a fan favorite of theirs, if you're familiar with it. And got through the first set of lyrics, got to the hook, started the second set, and he stopped singing. And I was so far back, I couldn't tell if he was singing and the microphone went out. But then I hear okay, hold up. This is really embarrassing, but I just blanked on the lyrics.
That's great.
So he stopped everybody from playing.
Dead honest.
Went back. Is like, and I can't pick it up halfway through. Can we reset that? Can we start over? And they started the song over again. And at that point, then I was watching the Jumbotron to kind of see see him facially. And sure enough, as he got to that point again, you could see like a light bulb went off over his head. Okay, now I remember. And finished the song after that. So obviously a moment that was not scripted, but made it memorable.
Well, you did remind me another, and it was scripted. If you're a Tim McGraw fan, you know the song "Indian Outlaw."
Oh yeah,
and it's stolen from a Paul Revere and the Raiders song.
Yep.
But it was that tour at the Mid-State Fair, and sure enough, bum 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 ba-da-da, bum 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 ba-da-da, bam, and nothing. And people are just, and he got exactly what he wanted for. An immediate rise cheer to, come on, Tim, woo! And just nuts loud. And then, woo, right off again. And just, it was fantastic.
wow.
Do you know what his encore was that year?
No,
You ready for this?
sure.
Some people call me the Space Cowboy.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. And then they blazed into 5 minutes of Ramblin' Man by the Allman
wow.
Brothers. And his guitarist can play.
Okay.
So it was lots of fun. But anyway, that stop got exactly the response he wanted. And then he sung the song. And it was really sweet. Oh, something did happen that wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay, so you got one then too. Go ahead.
Same concert.
All right.
Don't take the girl.
Oh,
Little
what a
gal,
ballad.
beautiful young mama holding her baby, front of the stage, right in the middle of the song. Tim walks up and goes, "Can I?" And he gently picks the baby up.
wow.
And Tim sung the whole rest of the song to this baby.
Oh, wow.
I teared up like a 5-year-old. It was absolutely unscripted and gorgeous.
And I'm guessing this was at a time before we all had cell phones, so whoever's baby that was, they didn't get video of that
No.
moment on their phone. Because
No,
that
no.
would be something, if
No
it were to
cell
happen
phones.
today,
Oh, yeah.
you would have that forever.
Yeah, and you could just tell. I mean, he might have done that every time for that song, but it's the first
Yeah,
time
he had
I
that
saw
family
it.
follow him around, and it
Yeah.
was always the same kid.
You're on the bus. We leave in an hour. No, but it was just so sweet and so, it was really nice.